headquarters of the World Tourism Organization. It's a great pleasure to be virtually, though, with you today. I'm really sorry I cannot join you in Istanbul, but I'm very much looking forward for a future opportunity. It's a great pleasure to be able to share the links and the increasing importance of linking gastronomy, tourism, and rural development from a perspective of building a more sustainable and inclusive tourism sector, as it's one of the priorities of the World Tourism Organization. Allow me to share my screen with you so you can see some of the insights of the work we've been doing and some of the recommendations that have been developed from the side of UNWTO on this important subject. Just before I do so, allow me to take a minute to recall where we are in the tourism sector, how the pandemic has affected immensely tourism around the world, and the prospects that we have at this moment. As you can see, 2020 was naturally one of the most challenging years for the tourism sector. We've lost around 73% of our international tourist arrivals. This means that our level of tourism traveling around the world went back around 30 years, if you can imagine that. Obviously, the different regions had different behaviors depending on the travel restrictions in place. But the good news is that the data for January that the UNWTO has released has shown that we are on the right track, that people are willing and very much looking forward to travel again and experience amazing gastronomy around the world. January had an increase in the number of tourists traveling international of 18 million people, which was the same amount that we had as an increase in the whole year of 2021. So the prospects are rather positive for the development of tourism and also the links with, obviously, gastronomy. What have we seen in terms of travel behavior, which is relevant for our discussion today in terms of the impact of COVID? We've seen that people have traveled closer to home. Domestic tourism has obviously increased very much, but this has an opportunity for our gastronomy offer to be discovered by local people and to create a bigger connection with our local markets. We've also seen that people want to be closer to nature. They're valuing rural tourism experiences and road trips. Again, a good opportunity to bring the gastronomy into the development of tourism in rural areas. Sustainability has also been increasingly important, authenticity and local use, all values that should be present in the way we develop gastronomy for rural development. Obviously, also new concerns with health and safety measures, and we cannot forget about those. So what are the key factors looking forward as we rebuild our sector and we rethink our role in terms of development? Digitalization and innovation will be critical for us to advance a sustainable and inclusive sector. Whole of government approach, so all levels of government in the different ministries working together. And gastronomy is a great example of this. Agriculture needs to go hand in hand with tourism so we can actually advance gastronomy tourism. Talent and education will be, again, one of the critical assets to our sector. Attracting talent, retaining talent in gastronomy is a great example of how the perception of tourism jobs has also changed. And finally, we make sure that people, planet, and prosperity are at the heart of tourism development. Looking specifically into the issue of the gastronomy development with rural tourism, I would like to share with you the call for action that was produced by an event that UNWTO and the Basque Culinary Center have hosted in Flanders in 2021, looking specifically of how can we use gastronomy tourism to drive rural development. The call for action identifies a series of points that stakeholders along the tourism and the gastronomy value chain should embark on. And when I say along the value chain, it's because we need to rethink how we look into gastronomy tourism. We need to think of it as an holistic approach that goes just from the experience in the farm to understanding the product, to actually enjoy the product, to taking it home, and to actually make it part of other kind of experiences, which might not be specifically gastronomy oriented. So the first point of our call for action is we need to strengthen the policy coordination between tourism, agriculture, rural development policies at global level, national level, and local level. So we need to have all the agencies that are responsible for agriculture, for tourism, rural development, coming together with a specific plan to develop rural tourism connected with gastronomy. The second point is we need to make sure that gastronomy tourism is one of the pillars of the recovery strategies. Why? Because we know it can create jobs, it can bring inclusion to the economies, and because it has a huge multiplier effect. So we need to ensure that the small businesses are included in this recovery plans for tourism. We need to make sure that the farmer that was having tourism as one of the key pillars of its development can actually also benefit, and the restaurants, which have been among the most affected by the pandemic. The third point is we need to promote gastronomy tourism as a tool for actually making tourism flows go to different regions, but also having people visiting the country and the destinations in different times of the year. What happens before the pandemic, and we've seen it in many destinations, was a concentration of tourists in specific times and specific areas. Gastronomy tourism, either through events or through the promotion of specific offers and experiences, can be a fantastic tool to take tourists to destinations which are less known, but also to add value to the ones which are better known, but to attract people in different times of the year. The fourth point is we obviously need to make sustainability part of our work and our objectives and commit to actually take concrete actions. We need to take concrete actions on the use of resources, the valorization of local products, and a responsible consumption. Food waste is definitely one of our big priorities. UNWTO is very happy to be working on this subject and very soon to release a landmark document guiding stakeholders on this agenda. The fifth point is, how do we use gastronomy tourism to underpin the cultural identity of destinations and its products? And how do we integrate fully gastronomy with tourism? We need to have a governance model that allows for the two parts to come together. We actually need to have a vision and a master plan that actually allows us for that. 6, we need to advance initiatives that promote innovation and skills development for gastronomy. It's critical that we invest in people. This is one of the issues that has come more significantly now with the recovery. Many countries talking about jobs opening up, but not having the talent wanting to come back. So we need to create conditions for that. So the 7th point is, how do we bring digitalization to gastronomy tourism, particularly in rural areas? How do we give the tools to the small businesses to actually be present in the market, to promote themselves, to create booking systems? And here again, this is something that UNWTO has been working very much on, digitalization of small businesses. And in gastronomy tourism, this is critical because it allows us to reach a new market. It allows us to be present, to be top of mind, and really to make a difference. Finally, UNWTO has been working on a set of guidelines for the development of gastronomy tourism with, again, our partner here in Spain, the Basque Culinary Center. And for those who are interested, those guidelines are available in our website, naturally. And the most important point of that is, if we want to develop a destination as a gastronomy tourism, we need to start by putting all the stakeholders together, creating a governance model, sharing a vision, and creating a strategy with concrete actions that can then be moved forward. We've also been hosting for many years now the UNWTO World Gastronomy Forum. As I mentioned, we focused the debates in our last edition on tourism and rural development, and we are moving from Flanders in 2021 to actually go to Japan in Nara in 2022. We will be meeting in December in the city of Nara, looking into 2 critical issues. One, inclusion. How do we foster inclusion into gastronomy tourism? And the second, sustainability. So we are very much committed to ensure that sustainability is at the heart of our tourism development, but also that gastronomy tourism, as an increasing area in tourism, embraces fully the concepts and the measurements and the tools that we have to advance a more sustainable sector. We were very happy as well that during our last event, we had the opportunity to have with us innovative solutions that came from the UNWTO startup competition for gastronomy tourism. We're currently in the phase of receiving new candidacies. So for all those entrepreneurs listening to me today, look into our gastronomy startup competition. It is a great opportunity for us to actually bring in the innovators, bring in the possible change makers into gastronomy tourism, either through technology or through social innovation. There has been amazing solutions, and we're very happy that we can include them in our events and in our process of developing gastronomy tourism. So this is all from my side. It has been a great pleasure to join you in this occasion. I do wish you all the success with this event, and I look forward for a forthcoming presidential participation. And I leave you again with this important message of gastronomy can be a special driver for rural development, for inclusion, for bringing the benefits of tourism to remote communities. And together we can work on that. Thank you very much.